Right, so you have these two. Yes, Caesar, yes? Where's roll the dice? You get it automatically. You put this one in, and then you will have both. If I take this one out, it's on cooldown. Nice. But see, this skill is on cooldown, which means I can't unequip this one, because they're both connected. See, now I don't have either of them. You double click this one, and now you have both. You have both? Roll of the dice used to look more like a die. Now it looks like a little block of cheese for some reason on a cracker. I don't know why they wanted it to look like a block of cheese on a cracker, but there we go. You find both, Caesar? Then what do? Now you put both on a key. Let me turn on the skill visibility. Oh, it's on. Okay. So first you use this skill, loaded dice. When you do that, you see this, and then you press the number of the one you want to save. So one is fail. 2 is, what is it, defense. 3 is HP or something. 4 is crit rate. 5 is damage, and 6 is EXP. So if you're training, you typically want 6. So you press number 6 on the keyboard, and it'll highlight it. And now you have this buff here that says that you loaded you've loaded the next dice. If it's the wrong one, then you can wait until the cooldown goes away, and then press it again, and then press another number. And then, once you have the correct number loaded, so I'm gonna roll the 6 again. And then you press this skill, the roll of the dice. Yeah, so this one has to be on a button as well. And then when you roll, it's always gonna roll the 6. Because I loaded it. And now you see that the preload is here, but also now the actual roll is here. And now you can hover over it to see how much it gives you. So experience obtained plus 30%. You've loaded the cheese on the cracker. Yeah, successful cracker cheese loaded. Does that make sense, Caesar? And if you ever want to load to something else, you can load to a 4, but it won't change this one. It'll just change the next roll that you do. You have to reload it? No, you don't have to reload it every time. Just load it one time, and then as long as you have the buff, every single roll you do will always be the one that you loaded it as. We haven't Geld. Made it so complicated, but I get it now. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated for us because we get 2 skills, but other characters, they get the roll the dice on like 3rd job or on 2nd job, and then they have another skill on 3rd and on 4th, so they've already been using the skill for like 100 levels or even longer than that. So for them, it's just an added that you can load what the top one is going to be, and then you still have the second 50% chance for a 2nd dice, and then a guaranteed 3rd dice roll. Mercedes fährt. But for us, it's a little bit more complicated because it unlocks 2 skills. There's no explanation on YouTube? Yeah. Well, hopefully that explained everything, okay? What was the other thing? Nur hier, das ist Deutschland. Das sind alles wir. Wir leben und wir sterben hier. What level do you get loaded dice at? It's a skill node. It's a pirate skill node, so you have to get it. Oh, Legion Solver, right. Ein Arschloch zu sein. Lass unseren Frauen. Autos können wir vertrauen. Okay. So first you need to put in which characters you have available. So you go through the list here. So it's like, okay, so you check like pirates, level 250 pieces. For pirates, I have one. For mages, I don't have any. Thief, I don't have any. Archer, I have one. Warrior, I have 3. Yep. Level 200 pirate, I don't know. Probably I have like 8 of all of these or something. The main thing you want to make sure that when you add these pieces in, you add the pieces that you want to have on the board. Because it's going to check here. You see, as I'm changing it here, this number is changing, right? The number total of characters double checks if you have, you know, the amount that you want. And this is going to check if you put all of the characters on the board that you put in here, if you're even going to be able to fill what you've selected. So this is the empty board that you start off with, right? So you basically start with exclamation mark links. You start from the top, and then you look for the Legion buffs that are good. Or you start from the left, I guess, and you move your way to the right. And then you pick up all of the stuff that you want. So top priority is what gives you good stats for the in the board, right? And then second highest priority would be what are the biggest pieces. And then the third highest priority would be like which characters have the highest Legion power to put into the board and to select in this list here. So let's say that I have, I don't know, like I have 6 of these. I don't have nearly as many. I don't have any 140s, right? Don't have any 140s. So like 7 here, 6 here, 7, 8 here, 42 characters. So I have more. 50 characters, something like this. Okay. So let's say that this is what my situation is. What is Enhanced Lab? Those are pieces from the lab server. The level 250 piece and a level 200 piece. They don't count for this, so they're my 38th and 39th piece on the board. And this one gives 20 weapon attack and magic attack, and the other one gives 35 weapon and magic attack. It's extra bonus from an old event. Iceburn, where's dark mode? Yeah, well, you can go zoomer out somewhere else. This is boomer time, where we have light in our rooms and light on our screens, and we are not doomer depressed people who are sitting in a dungeon underneath a blanket looking at a dark screen and eating ice cream out of the bucket with a fork, okay? So the second thing is you want to prioritize what you're going to fill, right? So you need enough critical rate to hit 100%. Like say that this is how much you need. And you need to know what spaces you have access to. You probably want to get all of critical damage so you can collect region click and then it does the whole thing. And you probably want all of IED. Let's say we're doing it for bossing. And let's say that we're in a situation where we have how many characters can we put in? What is like 6K Legion? Is anyone in chat in 6K Legion? How many characters can we put in 6K Legion? Is it 27? 8.7. So 36, 31, 30, 29, 28, 20, 28. Okay, so let's say we can put 28 pieces in. Okay, then I would only select like the top 28 pieces here, right? So I would take these all down. Oh. Okay, something like this, right? Let's say that these are my 28 best pieces, right? Ordered from biggest pieces to best buff to biggest pieces to highest Legion power, right? Let's say that those are my top 28 pieces, right? Now I have my best 28 pieces that I want on the board, and now I can see how much will this allow me to fill, okay? This will allow me to fill 93. This will allow me to fill 117. So I can select up to 117 pieces, and the computer will be able to fill all of those, right? So let's say I'm trying to do this, right, to connect the two, which means I have 12 pieces left here that I can put on boss damage. I don't know what the easiest is to do with boss damage. Maybe something like this, and I can click start. Oh, boom, there it is. There you go. And that's how you get what you want, and then you can just copy it, and boom, you're good. Here you go, fucking zoomers. This is weird to look at. I don't see the lines of the grid as clearly. Does that make sense? Yes? Matrix points into holy symbol? Probably, yeah. Boost nodes first, then holy symbol. Okay. The real goal of going for 8K. Who the fuck built a dinosaur? That's so cute. That's nice. Little T-Rex over there. Yeah, so for my build instead, you'd have like you'd have more here, you have more here, more here, more here, more here. Something like that, and then you do reset. Region click, fill this up instead. Probably can also fill this. Yeah, I still have 14 more. I can fill this. Still 10 more. I can do 10 more here. Boom, boom. And then I click start. Bam. And that could be my board, for example. Now, there's one upside and one downside, but I see that he's actually already done it somewhat. Is that you see that these pieces here, no, not this one, but this one here, this one is actually perfectly cordoned off. So that's kind of nice, because that means that you can take all of these pieces here and just transpose them, move them over, if you want to move them into buff duration instead, for example. And you don't have to redo your whole build. But where, so if you want to account for that, what you can do is you can say, okay, I'm going to do this. And then put all of those pieces in, take all of those pieces off the list here, and then try to squeeze them into here yourself. Or, you know, take all of the pieces that were taken off the list, and then do region click, then do reset, then do clear board, then do only region click this, and then do start, right, with the pieces that were left over, and then do that one. And then you'll have a movable block that you can move between buff duration and boss damage, or between boss damage and EXP, or something like that. If you need multiple setups with multiple flexible setups with one setup, if that makes sense. Yes? Last minute Lotus and Damien run. Who needs Abzo for their mules? Oh, Mugen is doing Lotus, Damien, join him. Okay, that makes sense. Cool. What are boost nodes? Well, if you don't know what boost nodes are yet, you're in for a big surprise. Boost nodes are probably the biggest. Are they the biggest form of power creep in this game? Boost nodes are nodes with 3 skills on them that are first, second, third, or fourth job skills that will increase their final damage. So you'll try to find boost nodes that have the right combination of skills that you want, all skills that you will be using and that you want to boost for damage a lot. And if you throw all of those on together, you will be able to boost the damage of your existing character's skills without needing to have extra keys in your keyboard or anything like that. So you have boost nodes distinctly different from the skill nodes, right? You see the different color, and then you also have special nodes, the purple one. Those are the 3 different ones, right? You see they have 3 different tabs here as well. So all the nodes can go up to level 25, except for special nodes that are just level 1. And they can also go into a level 5 slot that levels up with the matrix points. So one can go up to 30, as you see on the screen here, right? You see level 30, and then in yellow letters it says 5. That's the extra bonus levels. And you'll see that it gives you plus 60% final damage to those skills that are mentioned in that line of skills. So if you see the grand total here, you see it in your V matrix. So these are the skill nodes that I have. You see these are not in a leveled up slot, right? Because they're just their levels. And these are in leveled up slots. So you see that they go up to 30. And then the boost nodes here, you can see they can go up to 60 because they can be part of 2 different trinodes, as we call them. Trinodes are boost nodes where all 3 skills are ones that you want. They're called trinodes, perfect trinodes, whatever. And these can go up to 60. So level 25 times 2, both in level 5 slot, plus 10. So up to 60 in total. And if you hover over here, you can see at level 20 they get an effect, and then level 40 they get an effect as well. Most of the time, the level 20 effect is pretty bad. It's like an extra target, or sometimes it's 5% critical rate or something. It's not very useful. But the level 40 slot is really nice because that gives you 20 extra IED on that skill specifically. And you'll see that basically all of my attacking skills, all of them get the extra 20% IED, which is nice for bossing. And then because they're level 60, they get 120% final damage, plus 120% final damage. So if you would hit 1 mil without any boosts, you equip the boost, now you hit 2.2 instead. So it's a huge power creep on your existing skills, and that's why 5th job is so strong. Not only but that, because you also see the skill nodes, right? And skill nodes on top of that will also allow you to do a lot. So for some classes in the beginning, the skill nodes aren't really useful. Maybe one of them is for mobbing, for example, but a lot of them can be specifically for bossing. In that case, you want to focus very heavily on the boost nodes and level your boost nodes up so you can train faster, gain your levels so you can do those bosses. And for some other classes, the skill nodes are actually perfect, and they're giant AoE skills that blow everything up, or they are buffs that you just need to sustain all the time, like with Hayato's Demon Blade, for example. Is it called Demon Blade? Something like Yaijutsu Phantom Blade. Phantom Blade. And in that case, you actually almost don't need to look at your boost nodes at all. You just need to focus on that skill node instead. So some people, and some classes, boost nodes are really easy. They're clustered very well, especially the later classes that came out. Their boost nodes are really good, and it's easy to find your perfect tries that you need. And for some earlier classes, and specifically for non-KMS classes like Hayato, it can be a nightmare. But the silver lining is there that you don't need to rely on those boost nodes early on as a Hayato, so you have all the time in the world, to find your tri nodes, because you basically just need to use your skill nodes anyway for training and bossing. So you're good on that. Doing skill nodes first. It kind of depends on your class, Widowmaker, but most classes will need to rely on their boost nodes first, yeah. Because you can basically double or more than double the damage of your existing skills. And in general, the rule of thumb is if your skill nodes have very short cooldowns, you probably want to prioritize your skill nodes, because you'll also be using your skill nodes for training. But if your skill nodes have very long cooldown, then you typically have to prioritize your boost nodes, because your existing 3rd and 4th job skills typically have no or very short cooldown, so you're going to be using them a lot. If you're boosting a skill you can only use every 4 minutes versus you boosting a skill that you can use every 5 seconds or all the time, right? That's going to give you way more value early on. That's typically how you want to look at it. So if you're looking at a fire poison mage, for example, well, once your skills are pretty strong, but your 5th job skills have like 10 seconds or lower cooldown, then boosting those is comparatively going to be very good because you're going to be using them a lot. What level do you need to be to do damage to will? 235 you'll do damage, but you'll do 87.5% reduced damage just on the level difference. And then if you add on top of that your IED difference penalty, you're very likely going to hit 1s or extremely low damage. But any level you increase, you'll reduce the level penalty and you'll increase the amount of damage that you end up doing to the boss. Ideally for will, people want to be at least level 240, but mostly parties are going to have 245 and higher, mostly, so that you don't get too much reduced damage from the level difference. Pulled a perfect Hayato try the other day, finally. Nice. Always been told that Dark Knight's mobbing 4th job skills are really weak, so I should focus on my 5th job skill nodes first. Did I mess up? Lol. I think the other thing is that skill nodes, if you're using them specifically for mobbing, the most important thing is if you have skill nodes that either give you more uptime on a buff, for example, or give you a reduced cooldown on them. Those will be high priorities because the general uptime will go up. A lot of fifth job skills, like in case of the Dark Knight, you're thinking of the Spear, right? Spear has a very short cooldown and does a lot of damage, has a huge hitbox, and you definitely want to make sure that that skill can kill. But the thing is, fifth job skills base numbers are typically very, very high. So if it's just for the damage on the skill, it's not for cooldown, it's not for a passive buff, and it's not for increased duration. Typically, you don't really have to level them because they'll one-shot very, very quickly, and then they'll just keep one-shotting as long as your arcane power keeps up with the rest of your level. So you probably don't have, you might level them a little bit in the beginning, but you don't have to get them like all the way to level 15 or all the way up to level 25. If you have them like level 5 or level 6, it's probably fine. But it'll be, personal experience, right? You'll just try, and once you can start killing with it, you can move on to another skill. For the Experience Nodestone, yeah, the Experience Nodestone is a little bit yikes. A lot of people will say just hold it, use it on the Will skill. I think the Will skill has a little bit of the problem that what I just talked about, where I think it's really, really strong immediately, and boosting it is not really that necessary. It won't really give you a lot of extra kill speed or a lot of extra benefit. However, it will give you probably more benefit than mostly anything else you can do. If you're just starting out, though, I think it's probably beneficial to either put it on one of those really, really crucial skill nodes, which is, only a few classes have one that's super, super important. I would say probably like Frenzy on Demon Avengers, probably a Lord of the Deep on Buccaneers. It's like Domain on Kanas, Burning Soul Blade on Heroes, and the Phantom Blade on Hayato, like those kind of skills. Other than that, I think for most people, you'll probably just throw it on Decent Holy Symbol, because I think you'll probably have boost nodes for most classes again, and then Decent Holy Symbol, and then skill nodes also as priority of what you want to level. Whether you want to level it in the slots, when you want to level it with nodes and everything. It's just that the experience nodes is really, really bad to use on boost nodes. You get almost nothing for it. You always want to use it on a skill node. Was better transpose Pat Mark at 16 instead of 17? It's a combination of how many stats get imprinted onto the item when you transpose, and how many stats you get per extra star, the higher the level of the item is when you transpose it. Basically, if you do the maths for every single number where you transpose at, you come out with all different kinds of combinations of stat and weapon and magic attack, and the highest is just at 16. That's just how it works. It's basically because you get some benefits from transposing, some bonus stats get imprinted, but you get to start on the higher level item, the level 160 Sweetwater item, at 15 and all the way up to 21 or 22, and you end up with the highest total stats that way. That's just how the system works. How much less damage is being 15 levels under in Reboot? I don't know exactly, but you can check ! Maple stats, and we can just look it right up. Let's see. Level difference, level advantage multiplier in Reboot Worlds. 15 levels is... yeah, that's 87.5. That's what I said, right? 87.5, yeah. If you're 10 levels below, it's 50%, and then 5 levels below is still 25%. So that's why even for Will, typically, minus 5 levels or anything more than that, yeah, still 25% of your final damage is lost. I think 21, transposing at 21, I think was very close. Or at 22 was very close, but it's still a bit lower. You do get more stats, but not enough to counteract how much you would get extra if you Star Forced after transposing. If Transpose Sweetwater Pendant booms, it's not a loss, right? No, all of those stats get imprinted onto the trace. Trace will look something like this. I have a few of those here. Will look something like this, and all of the stats that it had before will be imprinted on it. So the potential, the soul if it's a weapon, the flame, all of it will just stay imprinted into it. But you will have to do this, and you will have to find, so again, like open this one, right, and then click it in. And you have to have the exact same name item here to transfer those old stats into the new one before you can... before you can move those stats onto another one. And it'll always come out as 12 star if you boomed it, because that's the highest amount of stars you can get to without booming your item. So you have to start back from 12. Some of the transfer stats don't get lost on Boom, but you'll never know with Nexon. Yeah, so for transpose, it'll be all the total stats, also those little extra bonus stats that you get from the transposing process. Yeah, those will stay with the item. Is there a calculation for how much damage you could do for a BA on a level dummy if you were 260? If you're doing 30 bill per second at 260, how much would it be if you were 275? On the same target arrow? So the thing that we just looked at also has the bonus damage if you were higher level. So if the target is the same level and you go all the way up to 270, you would be more than 10 levels above, but at 10 levels you get 20% final damage. So you can just add 20% of what you had. So you would do the 275 dummy. So it's different if you are attacking something that is 275 at 260 and you're going to level up towards it, or you're attacking something that's 260 at 260 and you're going to level past it. But for both of those, you can just look at this number, or you can just do the battle analysis again in the fog forest, right? And just set the metrics of the target differently, and then try to BA again and see how much you get. For people who don't know, the Fog Forest BA, you can go here, here, Wulong Dojo here. And then you can talk to the NPC. I believe you have to make a party for yourself. And then Wulong Training Center, and go to the Fog Forest Training Grounds. And then here you can set all of those metrics. So I summoned Sogong. He gone. He dead. So you can go, whoop, we want to make a boss. That's level 275. That has 300% defense. Medium size. What is this? Like a quadrillion HP, I don't know. With damage reduction. And summon. Oh, spell bullets aren't on. That's a big difference. So now, for example, I could do both of these and just see what is the difference with spell bullets, without spell bullets, you know? It would probably like 60% final damage difference or something. Do like with animation canceling, without animation canceling, with weaving. And you can try a bunch of different stuff, you know? And just see how much damage you do. Okay. Using your node charts on, is it bad to craft boost nodes? It's not bad to craft boost nodes, but if you have a lot of boost nodes that you need and you have a lot of variants, one thing that you can do is you can go to a node master, which after in a while we won't have to do anymore. We'll just be able to do it in our matrix screen. Oh. What you can do is not just craft nodes, but you can also craft node stones. Which is just the ones like the ones that drop. And they cost 35, which is half of what it would cost to make a specific node. So like just a node like this costs 70, and then a skill nodes is 140, and then the special ones are 250. So if you have in the beginning a lot of outs, like there's a bunch of boost nodes you still need, there's a bunch of skill nodes you still need. The best value most of the time is to craft node stones, actually, because you can get twice as many from this as you could from this, and 4 times as many as you could from this. And you could lock into getting skill nodes, and any boost node you get, if it's one you need, you get double the value. If it's one you don't need, you have to extract it for 10 points, right? So you lose 25. But you're basically paying 25 shards for the chance of getting one you need, and then gaining 45, or the chance of getting a skill node and then gaining 115, right? So that's something that you can kind of gamble with if you want to. The more nodes you finish and the more nodes you max out, the less value there will be in crafting the node stone straight up, of course. Less than 35 on average? No. So a bunch of characters will need 4, 5, 6, 7... 4, 5, or 6 boost nodes. And a lot of times that will mean that if you open a node stone, it'll be one you need. So then you're opening 70 and only paying 35. So if that happens half the time, then you're already winning, right? Because then you gained 70 for one and 10 for the other one. So you gained 80 and you only spent 70. So you're gaining efficiency like that. You only have to get one skill node that you're leveling, and boom, now you gained 115. So the more outs you have, the better that is. It's mostly good for the newer classes that have very few, that don't have that many different combinations. They'll only have they'll maybe need 4 boost nodes, right? And they'll have I don't know, maybe at most 10 skill or 9 skills in there or something. So it's a really, really high chance of gaining that way. But a lot of the older classes where the skills aren't as clustered, they might struggle a little bit, yeah, with that being valuable. So it's something you can gamble with a little bit if you're up for it. Is Final Cut or Crossbones better for Phantom to steal at 4th job? 40% final damage versus 30% attack, I think. Oh, 40% final damage will be way better. Scaling is just insane. Plus, it also is an iframe in itself. So that's I don't know if Crossbone is 30% attack, 20% attack. It is big though, but yeah, final damage will be more. Plus iframe. On D8, it's probably not nearly as good. Nah, we have those earlier skills. We have the double slash and the nether slice and the sword. I forget what the name of that thing is. Yeah, there'll be a lot of fails there. Speaking of nodes, should I make the effort to have perfect trinodes? If you're just starting out, it's not like that you can just snap your fingers and get them, because if you could, you would, you know. The thing is just that in beginning, what you can do, especially if you don't need all your skill nodes and you're leveling pretty quickly and you have a lot of slots, you could put 4 boost nodes in and all of them be 2 out of 3, but you could put it so that 1 or 2 skills that are very useful are on all 4 or 5 of boost nodes. And then you can really cash in on those leveled up slots, because if you just have 5 level 3 nodes that have the 2 skills that you want, but they're in level 5 slots, they'll count as 8. And now you have 5 times 8. Now you have 40. So now you're getting 80% final damage on the 4th job skills, which is insane. And then the further you go, you can consolidate. But if the top skill of a boost node is one that you want to eventually use, you can just use it as food on another one with the same top skill, and it'll transfer all of the value. So let's say that I have a level 15 boost node with Creeping Terror, the one that I want, but the other 2 are something that I don't want. Once I find my perfect trinode that starts with Creeping Terror, I can just feed the level 15 in, and all of the EXP will get transferred. The problem is if you have 2 out of 3 nodes and the top skill is not one that you want, you really ideally don't want to level it past level 6 or 7, because if you do, eventually you're going to have to extract it. And when you extract, you lose a lot of efficiency of the nodes you put in. And you want to make sure that you don't push that too far, because you'll see a lot of loss. Double slide, Bat Swarm, yeah. You can do that. You can 100% do that, yeah. Playing dual blades is very easy to target which nodes are for bossing, which are for mobbing. Yes, some classes you will kind of make like hybrid nodes in the beginning, where there are just like 2 or 3 skills that are really good. Maybe one is mostly for bossing and one is for mobbing, but you kind of make hybrid nodes that are still trinodes. There were still 3 skills that you want to have eventually, but later on it might be a better idea to split them up. But again, because of what I just explained, the splitting up will be very easy later on because you'll just open like 50 nodes. You'll get exactly what you need. Boom, switch over to EXP, and now you have still from 4 trinodes to 4 other trinodes. But now the setup is so that you can use 2 specifically for mobbing and 2 specifically for bossing, which means only 2 of your slots are going to be taken up by boost nodes at any given time, which means now you created 2 extra spots for skill nodes instead, which means probably more burst, right? Then you can start putting things in like the Grandest Goddess Blessing, or an extra decent skills like a decent combat orders, or you can put Blink in for extra mobility and a little bit of extra attack if it's in a leveled up slot, right? Or have an easier time getting to your bind, and also having maybe Will of Urda in there, for example, for some ignoring some mechanics. But why not just roll your perfect trinodes? Easy clap, yeah. Got like 30 Asura top node, but not perfected, staying aside. That's okay. Got ready to look at my main and got 3 perfect tries. Only missing 1 now, I think. That's another thing. Don't lock in your tries too quickly. If you need 4 perfect tries, don't lock in 3 and start leveling them immediately, because what that means is you only have 2 outs anymore, right? You only have like ABC and ACB left. Or, you know, FGH or whatever the fuck, and FHG for the last node. You only have 2 options now out of all the possibility of boost nodes. What's a better idea is to level, but is to keep your options open. Because what if you get the 4 nodes that together form your 4 trinodes, but they just have different combinations than the one you've already leveled, and the 4th one is also there, but the 4th one is not the one that fits the puzzle of the one you have currently equipped. But if you, again, use a trick by using the 3 that you have, level them in and boost the other 3, then the 4th one can suddenly become the option. Now you have more outs. Now you have a higher chance of finishing and getting to the highest level with your 4 trinodes faster. Locking into perfect trinodes too early can actually make it slower to be done. So make sure you keep your options open. Yeah, locking is to make sure that you don't accidentally disassemble them or feed them into other things. You can do that with the Node Master by simply right-clicking them, and then you can do lock, unlock. Because if I want to extract, for example, I go to disassemble, and you can just do select all now, and I can see which one it selects, and be like, oh, I want to get rid of all of these. Oh, actually, no, I don't want to get rid of Urda Nova. Okay, hang on. Let me cancel. Click this, enhance, scroll all the way down, level this one up here. Okay, now disassemble and select all. Yes, okay, now I can extract. It shows what I extract. Boom. Okay, all of those extracted. Good. Did it on a job that needed way too many tries, and I agree, it took way longer to find the last perfect try. Yeah, and the more you have, the harder it gets. Like if you're a Ho Young, for example, and you need 8 boost nodes or something, if you have those 7 and then you lock that in, the chance that you get that last one is so astronomically low. You want to keep your options open and stay flexible. But a lot of characters need just 1 set of tries or 2 set of tries, right? And again, with !v matrix and the command, you can, in the chat command, you can see for all the classes what you want now. And there's some variations there, and there's some preference there for some. Let's see if we can get an example. Yeah, like Corsair can swiftly make like mobbing. I don't think it's called Aid Like Easton anymore. You know, there might be some name switches. Some of them are completely optional. Yeah, like for Ho Young, there's a little mix and match thing that someone made where you can put in which ones you already have and which ones you don't have. Oh yeah, because you need 6 total boost nodes. And it might be a little bit too much to keep track of everything, so you can kind of, you know, like highlight which ones you already have if you find a copy of that. And I think, was it for Dual Blade, I think, that you mentioned? Yeah, like in the beginning, you go Phantom Blow, Blade Fury, Asura's Anchor, right? So because those are by far the most important skills. And then your second trio would be this. And then when you go later, you'll switch 2 of them around so that you have 2 dedicated for mobbing, 2 dedicated for bossing. Or I guess for, I think it's for Pathfinder. You want 3 tri-nodes, so it's 6 total boost nodes. But you have 1 that you use for both, and then 1 only for mobbing and 1 only for bossing. So there you kind of have a similar situation, except for 2 extra are taken. But even though you have 6 boost nodes, you're never taking like all 6 slots up with your boost nodes. You're either taking 4 where 2 are specifically for mobbing, or 4 where 2 are specifically for bossing. And that way you can leave maximum amount of room for your skill nodes, because skill nodes are so valuable. No, I don't have a full list of the outs, no. But if you want the outs, I mean, you simply have to click on the NPC and click on node crafting and just see how many are here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what I have. And for any character, you can simply look. Document and reading? Yeah, is in the chat under exclamation mark V matrix. Yeah. You think I can do hard Hilla and a 212 marksman? Most likely, yeah. Make sure though that if she goes into the lifesteal mode, that you kill the mobs as soon as possible, and keep an eye out for the notification that will say that you need to stand in a barrier, because otherwise you might get clapped. Fortunately, DA now is like only 2 boost nodes and frenzy. Yeah, I mean it's probably actually just frenzy, just frenzy and jump around and make sure you don't die. I mean it's better than before. Before Demon Avenger was just decent skills. It was decent sharp eyes, decent speed infusion, decent holy symbol, decent hyper body, decent combat orders. Like it was just all the decent skills. That was your 5th job as a DA. It was actually really sad. Now we can actually use our skill nodes at least, you know? Just a set of 4 on your first day playing the character. That'd be the easiest, yeah. All right. Cool. I mean, didn't set out to do a Q&A, but hopefully I was able to help a bunch of people with some questions that you just had. Little impromptu Q&A session, but you know I'm always here to answer questions. So, how about Night Lord? What about Night Lord for the boost notes? Exclamation mark V matrix also has the Night Lords in there. What up, Pally? How you doing? Do I get benefit? You use 2 perfect tri-nodes for bossing, but they have different tops. You have to have different tops. You must have. You cannot equip 2 boost nodes with the same top skill. Not allowed. Maybe also an important thing to to include. I mean, if you try to equip it, it'll just tell you already have the same node equipped. Do you get benefit from both? You would get benefits from all of the boost nodes that you equip, provided you can equip them. So, you know, you have to be different nodes. And provided that they're max level when it comes to boost nodes, makes your total skill level not go over 60. Up until 60, it will always count. Thanks for all the info. No problem, Widowmaker. Yeah, like I said, right, something that people might do early is if you don't really need your skill nodes for training, you just need your boost nodes, and you have a bunch of slots available. What some people might do, they might take 4 or 5 boost nodes and put the same 1 or 2 skills that are very useful in all of them, in leveled up slots. And that way, you can basically get the benefit of level 40 while only having a bunch of level 3 nodes, which is very, very cheap to level in the beginning. So that could be a way to do it. But that can only happen if you have a bunch of skill nodes that you don't need when training. So that's a very specific situation that probably only a few classes can do. Streams going off with the seasonals coming back? Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Depending on timing and depending on when you're live and everything. But yeah, for sure. W, yep, big W. Nightlord Boss Mule kind of ass. I like it. I like it. You got to get your 5th job, or your quad. You got to get your quad throw boosted. But I'd like to not take too much risk with like a Goddess Blessing or with a Prepare to Die or whatever it's called, like a Last Resort. But just focus on getting the throw blasting and the quad throw and a good bind, and just nuking it down. But again, if you're working on boss mules, you're probably working on a lot of characters, which means disproportionately working on your Legion is very beneficial, because working on your Legion is basically funding all of your characters at once. So that's a high value from the time that you're spending. Wizards was a Sweetwater Katara for Dual Blade Boss Mule? For Boss Mule, it's probably a little bit too much effort. Even if you're going up to like Lotus and Damien, I don't know if it's worth it. I think for most boss mules, people will avoid doing Sweetwater altogether. You're probably fine without Sweetwater stuff. Help us talk about bossing. Oh, you can talk about bossing. You got your veggies in today? Good, dude. Good. Oh, hello? Increase the volume thing. Okay. It's two. That was me and you. Let's talk like glue. Ah! Boom. It's a joke. Scramble ting. It's quickly. It's the no, I can chase hurt. The book kind of pasted. And Aren. I'm not most people. Yeah. Sweetwater Katara is what he's talking about, Tayo. It's a weapon that you can get from killing the Sweetwater bosses in Sun Commercy. It's easy to get backups for, and it's level 160, so it's the best in slot secondary for dual blades. Well, Big Vito, if you're bad at bossing, if you get carried, you're not going to get any better, right? How do you feel about Fire Poison post Destiny? Main worthy, overpowered. I've kind of syndrome. I'm scared of maining an overpowered class. It's mostly the mages that are OP. Just because of infinity and an unstable memory, how that works. That's just really, really good. Even the bishops got a huge buff because of that. They sound really good, but like I think if you want a more simple class, then probably Ice Lightning is a little bit more simple, and Fire Poison I think is a little bit more difficult because you have to look at the timing of Infinity. You have to use your 5th chop skills a lot at the right time, at the right position, detonate them and everything. Like Fire Poison needs to be played correctly, but if you do it, then you can get a lot of damage out of it. Is it fine to skip Commercy? Up to a certain point. We're now probably at an unprecedented point of probably you can get to endgame completely without any Commercy stuff, without any Dineros, and you can probably be okay. You know, instead of transposing the Sweetwater Pendant, you can just hold on to a Dominator. You know, it's not as good, but you can hold on to a Dominator and then go from there into Source of Suffering if you luck out. Instead of the Sweetwater Eye, you could use the Black Bean Mark, you know, and have that as backups. And instead of using the tattoo, you could, you know, get lucky with the Twilight Mark instead, and then use that. So you could completely bypass it. But again, if you're like a dual blade, you want to get the Sweetwater Kataras, and you know, and if you can get those other pieces, you can still get the pieces with the Dineros. You can easily get backups. So it's still like the safest way to make sure that you can guarantee some upgrades. I don't like telecast classes, just feel blur. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan. So I'll never like main one or play a lot of them. But I'm okay having like one in my arsenal, you know.